Good morning, everybody. Good morning, audience. Yay. See, we're not all virtual. We actually have some folks here in our studio. Want to welcome everybody. This is the Motion Picture Institute's virtual and on-campus open house for December. We've got some big news. We have an April enrollment, 12-month program beginning, and we are taking applications both for next September and for this April. Our April class will be from in the afternoon, 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock. And we got good audio, Andy? Excellent. All right. And we also, our September program, we have a morning program that will be 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then also an evening class, 6:30 to 10:30. So hopefully you guys in the room are interested in one of those two sessions. And also those of you at home are. Make sure you go to our new website, motionpicture.edu, for more information. And we'd love to get you in here for a private tour and answer any of your questions. Applications are super easy. And the online steps after that I will send to you. All you have to do is fill out a personal essay, letter of recommendation, and get us your transcripts. So it is my pleasure to get you going out of the nuts and bolts of our application process. At the end of the session, I'll be happy to answer more questions about financial aid and things like that. But right now, we'd like to get our guests here in the audience, as well as those of you who are on Facebook, engaged. And it's my pleasure to introduce to you one of our graduates and one of our awesome instructors in our acting program, Scott Norman.
Hello, everybody. Thank you all for coming out on this rainy, nasty day to join us. And those of you who couldn't make it, thank you for watching online. So yes, my name is Scott Norman. I am currently one of the acting instructors here at MPI. I've been doing it for about 2 years now. But before that, I was a student here at for the production program before teaching in the acting program. And I have a long, somewhat unique experience with the school, and I'd like to share my story with you to give you a little insight into the school and what it's all about. So I'd say probably about 4 years ago now, I was in your seats. I was here on the stage thinking about my future in the film industry, wondering if this school was going to teach me what I needed to know to get on the other side of the camera. I had already been a professional actor in Michigan for a long time, 10 years at that point, and I was trying to make a transition. There's a couple of reasons I came here. I decided that, yes, indeed, this was the place, and I do not regret that, that decision, and I can tell you more about that later. But as I said, one of the reasons I came here to the open house to see if this was the place is that during my time acting on various sets, commercials, and films in Michigan, there was always someone on set who was a graduate of MPI. And that was an indicator that this was probably a good place to go. There have been people working, graduates of the program, working on professional sets, people who come in from Hollywood, local commercial sets and so forth, just about every single set that I worked on as an actor. But I had heard about MPI when I first moved to Michigan. I'm originally from New York City. And I know that's a kind of a backwards move if you want to be an actor in New York and you come to Michigan, but actually it was probably the smartest move I ever made. But before that, when I first came here, I was, my wife, well, not my wife at the time, I was kind of chasing her down and she got me, or I got her, depending on how you look at it. She convinced me that there was enough acting to do here. And when I came out here, I searched around and found that there was this school teaching filmmakers, and they needed volunteer actors to come in and practice acting on a set so that the students could get practice filming people. And it was an awesome experience. My first time on a professional set. And I tell you, from that experience, moving from a student set to professional sets, there was no difference. The way those students ran that set and what they were learning was exactly what I experienced when I became a professional in Michigan and was on those sets acting. So I'll tell you that story in reverse to get a few things, make a few points. One, when I first moved to Michigan, it was like 17 odd years ago. And the school has been around that long, even longer. It wasn't brand new when I got here. So the school has been around a long time. It has also, throughout that time, been putting out professionals. As I said, every time I worked on a set, there was a graduate of MPI working on that set in some capacity. They were either on the camera crew, or they were handling the digital media, or they were helping to light something. So over the 20 years, 20 odd years that the school's been in experience, it's been pumping out professionals. And also, I have to tell you, as my experience here as a teacher, coming here as a student, learning from the teachers, and then having them as my mentors, continuing after beyond graduation, was an experience that I didn't get from any other schools that I've been to. The experience here is more, a lot of people say it's like very much like a family. Volunteers come back to participate in our open houses to tell future students about their experience so that they would know how great it was, how wonderful it was, how integral coming to school at MPI was to building their careers. And then again, I became a teacher, so I get to work with these teachers very close and personal, so I can vouch for the fact that they care. They're professionals in their field. Not only do they teach here, they've been doing it in the world for a long time. I'm not going to say how long, because maybe people don't want to know how old they are, but just so you know, it's not simply teachers. They are professionals who care about the profession, and they want to raise more people into this profession or into this industry. So that's my story. I hope that gives you a little insight onto the into the MPI culture, a little insight into how long it's been here. I can answer more questions later about the program, but we're going to do a little demonstration later. But in the meantime, I want to pass it back to Kevin, who can tell you a little bit more about the program and what you have in store.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Scott. And it's really just to echo what he was saying, the amazing skill level and backgrounds of our instructors are all professionals. They've all got hundreds or thousands of hours in the industry, and it's really probably the one thing that the alumni come back and talk about is the personal connection they made with our instructors. So thank you very much for that. We are going to move on to the demo portion, and we've asked some people in our audience. We've got somebody who's interested in being an actress. Still interested? Okay. And some people interested in being on crew. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring them onto the set and train them up. And we've got a couple of Jake and Carmela, who are graduates from 2 years ago now, 3 years ago for Jake, 3 years for Jake, 2 for Carmela. And they're going to be coaching them. So while that's happening, and while we're coaching our actors, I'm going to see if Kurt, I know because I forgot Scott will be coaching, would you mind doing kind of what's happening behind the scenes? And I'll be manning the camera, okay? All right, so thanks everybody. Make sure you type into Facebook any questions you've got. We can answer them. Sarah's manning our Facebook page, but also we can answer them on the microphone too at one point, okay? All right, thank you.
Okay, I'll start off a little bit and tell you what we're about to do. Just so you can see how a set is run. We are getting a few volunteers who came into the building today to operate the camera, to act for us. And if you were here, you'd be able to see a lot of the prep work that we've done in advance. We have this set lit, looking like the sun is coming in. If you can get the camera on that side at some point, you'd be able to see the lighting set up. We have a camera dolly that's going to be running back and forth. I'm going to direct the actors into an improvisational scene, and Jeremy is going to teach the crew volunteers how to operate the camera and get the focus during the motion. I'll pass it off to Kurt. Okay.
Breathe now. Is the camera right here? Okay, hi. My name is Kurt Mary. I'm Director of Education here at the Motion Picture Institute. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a play-by-play of what we're doing here on set. One of the unique things about our school, I think, that you'll find when you come here is that we do a lot of production, a lot of hands-on training. A lot of film programs that are more relegated towards, say, universities may have 1 or 2 classes in filmmaking or cinematography, or more academic type of courses that focus on, why you make films as opposed to how you make films. And you'll find at our school, we really delve into how you make films. And in order to do that, you have to have the facilities, you have to have the equipment, instructional staff, you have to have the tactile experience of actually doing it. And so we have quite a few classes that are dedicated to the kind of the trade skills that you'll find that are needed to make a film happen. Of course, that everybody knows about the camera department. They know a little bit about lighting, but then we digress into audio and things like script supervising and assistant directing, production management. These are all things that go into the process of making a film. Some of it's preparatory, meaning you have to do work in pre-production to kind of get to the point of shooting. But then there are actual on-set skills you have to learn that go and coincide with all of that. And so our school takes you through all those series of steps in order to accomplish that. And while we're training you in class on a production like you see behind me here, you also are tasked with making your own film projects. So during the course of the year, the one-year program, students make up to 3 personal film projects, which evolve over the course of the year. And as we go on, they get more and more complex, and we introduce you students to more and more equipment and resources to kind of up their game. So if you will, they take baby steps to start out and show us they can just simply tell a story all the way to doing something more complicated, and not just storytelling, but also the technical capabilities of pulling off what they're thinking. The class that we have that we start people out on is called Production Lab. And it's a 4-hour class. I take it once a week, and we bring in 5 instructors into the class, and we set up different departments, and students will spend a couple of weeks in each department, rotating, from department to department every few weeks to learn the particular department really well, kind of understand how it operates, and how these different departments work together to make the film happen. Those departments are like camera, as I mentioned, lighting, audio, assistant directing. We get into script supervising as well. And what we do is we have instructors come in, we break the class up. These class sizes usually are about 20 students or so. We break them into 4 or 5 groups, so they're much smaller, and they get that really focused time, if you will, in a very small pod, if you will, of the instructor and the student, about 4 to 5 students per instructor. And we train, and students get familiar with the concepts of the department, and also what they need to do in a physical sense. So we train them on the cameras and things like that, and then we bring them on set after a couple of hours, and we work them as teams, if you will. They come together and we shoot a film, part of a film, a scripted scene. We have a sound stage here at the school, which we're on right now. It's about a 6,000 square foot sound stage, and in that soundstage, we have a set, and we bring all the equipment in, and we set the people up, and then they start shooting the film project. We have a guest director come in. Usually it's a grad student. We have actors come in we volunteer to be a part of the class, and we run through a scene, run through calling the roll, all the way through, all the things that you have to do to get the image recorded and ready for editorial. So what's going on behind me here, and I'll step aside a little bit here, is we have Scott, who's sort of serving in as the director. We have talent, which is one of our guests here today. We have another guest on camera, and normally we'd have 3 people on camera. We'd have the operator, we'd have the camera assistant, and we'd have a slate person who's doing camera slate. Of course, off camera, you would have your gaffer, your lighting team, your grips. The grips are the people who handle like the dolly and setting up large stands and rigs for the camera. You also have your script supervisor who's taking notes, extensive notes, and working with the director on the different takes and what takes that they wanted and what takes were bad, and sort of the eyes and ears of the editor. Scott, as a director, he's sort of giving the talent guidance and direction onto what they want them to say or do in this performance. Right now, just so you know, we're not working from an actual script. We're sort of ad-libbing a little bit. So Scott is sort of having had an extensive acting background, can kind of coach the performer here into a performance that will work on camera. As you can see, the camera operator is seated on the dolly, and Jeremy, one of our instructors here at the school, is acting as a grip. Right now, what they're doing is they're setting up the framing for the shot. It's going to be a dolly shot, which is a little more complicated and take more time to do because you have to set focus marks. You have to time the movement of the camera. The actors knows that the camera's coming at them. They have to be acclimated to that, not be distracted by it. And so we're going to do a rehearsal, which is for giving the actor a chance to sort of understand how the camera's going to move
Focus, right?
with them during the shot.
So
And
the mood is, he's complaining to me and I'm like over it.
Yeah.
I don't want to
You
hear
didn't do
it.
anything
Yeah.
wrong. You would take care of a friend. So whatever he's complaining about has nothing absolutely wrong.
Okay.
You were taking care of your girlfriend who was in need, and that's why you were late. And he just doesn't want
so
to.
Scott's giving her final notes on how to perform for the shot.
Some good juice.
And we're going to move a little closer in so we can hear better.
Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Camera.
This is where everybody is quiet up.
All right, camera speed.
No, we're just rehearsing.
Oh, it's rehearsal. Okay, ready and action.
Spend all day, making dinner, getting the candles out, trying to make it nice for you, and you don't come home?
I told you,
I don't care.
You never care.
Well, you know what? I'm over it. You're always gone with your friends.
My friends needed me. So I needed to be there for them. Maybe you understand that if you actually had some friends.
That's all right.
I hear it
Yeah,
now.
that's all right.
I got lost
I'll
in
have
the
to do
moment.
something else. You were good. That's fine. Okay.
Good.
Back to one.
That's why we do rehearsals.
Okay.
So when Scott said speed, that is,
And you
Asking
do
if
improv,
it's
you get lost in it.
so when that happens, he says speed, lean
Okay.
over.
I'm gonna need you. I want you to come farther over here.
So
You
guys
gotta
are
Once
gonna
you're up,
give our
once
other
you're up from
actor,
that spot,
Andy, a little bit of
this is
guidance
good
on
range.
where he wants
Okay.
to move during the shot so he stays in frame. He can be seen by the camera during that take.
I want you to keep your body in motion.
Just stay there.
Yeah,
Okay.
stay over here.
Okay. Bookshelf okay to like lean on? Like is it
Yes,
okay
yes,
to go that deep?
Yeah, I think you can lean on it, but I'm not.
No, I just meant like, I wasn't gonna be like,
Oh, okay, yeah.
just like, you know, like, I just wanna make sure the depth wise, like.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And then you gotta
And,
shout back out.
And if you want to say anything to him,
He didn't,
can't
he didn't
turn
call
around,
for sound.
because then we
which
lose
is
the sound.
Okay.
All right.
Weird,
So you can
he'll call sound
sort of
first.
think, keep your shoulders.
So it'll go sound,
It's all about
sound
your head.
department handles it.
Okay.
Camera speed.
And if you can't hear my snap,
Marks on you.
what I'm gonna do,
Like the motion, also mentioned, you'll see that a lot of the crew are
Right.
wearing masks today. The actors
you
have
you
to
can
take them
probably
off
see more
because
what's
they're
going on
distanced
if I
about
go like
6 feet
this. So
apart.
that'll
Before
be your
And
chance to
it will only
stop.
be
You can
sort of this
tap
short
those
scene,
two
so as
and
soon
then
as
say line.
we're done, we'll be
You're just gonna do a
masking
big-
everybody.
Yeah, well, like this.
Yeah, okay.
And you count two and three.
I want to kill him or I'm
I'm
going.
going to.
Get nasty with it.
Okay, ready to go?
Scott, we're ready for a take if you wanna go.
Let's go for a take.
Very good.
All right.
Okay, roll sound, please.
Sound speed.
Okay, and roll camera. Scene 1A, take one, marker. And we're set, Scott.
Okay, and action.
I don't get it. You stay out all night. I prepare dinner. It's like you don't even care anymore.
I do care.
You're just with your friends.
My friends
They're
needed me. What do you not understand about that?
I guess I don't understand anything.
If you listen, I'm going to kill him.
Cut. You're back to one.
Yep, we'll just hit it again. Awesome. Okay, going to one, you guys?
Okay, so
Camera on.
usually in film, we do multiple takes. Sometimes if they get it right on the first take, they do what's called a safety, which would be a second take to make sure that they've got backup in case anything were to go wrong with the footage. When we're shooting movie film, it could be here in the gate, or it could be a scratch or something like that that may mess up the first take, or it could be some of the scratch, but or ruin the post-production for that matter, with a negative. With digital, it's a little more simplistic, but you could have a file get corrupted or something along those lines, so it's good to have a backup take. If you can get one that's just as good as the first one. But sometimes do multiple takes because you want to find different performances out of the actor, and they may play the scene slightly different, and you may find something that you like. Some of those are called happy accidents.
But what is, does
But
Andy go
I'll pull us
across
down to
for
time if you have the time to do these things. Otherwise, you move on. Once you get in the material, you move on to the next shot, next setup. In which case, you would restage, move the camera, restage the actor, and another angle of the scene.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll start my move when I see him move the next time. Okay. Right? Okay. You all set? Let's go for a take. Ready to go there, Scott. Okay, roll sound, please.
Sound speed.
Okay. Camera. Ready.
Scene 1A, take 2, marker.
And action.
You really don't give a shit, do you? You don't care about this
Don't talk to me
relationship.
like that.
You don't care.
I've shown you how much
I
care.
prepared some dinner, some wine, I hired a string quartet, and you're out with your friends?
My friends need
I don't care. I needed you. I needed you.
Cut.
PG-13, Andy.
That was awesome.
Hey, that's still in the realm, right?
Thank you very much. I think we can move on to the next, should we do another take or let you go?
Whatever you think.
All right.
Let's do one more, Scott.
Let's do one more. Switch roles.
I'll tone it down.
Can I be the thing where you went?
Can we, let's switch roles.
Okay.
I think I slipped up a little, coming up on the second.
Scott, that one may not have been great for us. Let's try to make this one work. Okay, all right. So here's what I'd like you to start.
Second focus.
You got it.
There you go. And you're gonna be on, and then you're gonna go to the, you start.
Do you want me to
whatever you're gonna
turn my
say.
feet some out of the way?
And then after you get here, I just want you
Yeah.
back and forth here. You can't go back to facing around.
In this area,
Yes.
okay.
This area, that's fine, you go. Yeah, and again, for you, let's get you, do we need to refocus on him or get him position?
He's all set.
Just
We're
set, okay.
good, yeah, we
So
already have.
no shoulders can't turn, your shoulders are steady, it's all on your head. So you go, and your eye line.
Stuff in yellow. You're thinking, I see the big picture, but all of a
That's your
sudden
eye
you're
line.
zeroing in on her to kind of capture her emotion at the bitter end of the scene.
And let's get your glasses off if you don't mind.
Yeah, they fogging up a bit.
Are we doing 3 takes?
One.
One?
You got one to hit it, girl. This is your.
This is it. You're in charge now.
Let's go for a take. Okay, roll sound, please. Sound speed.
Okay. Scene 1A, take 3, marker.
You know,
Hold up, just a minute. Back up, get on the bench. When I say action, that's when you move.
oh,
It's all right? It's okay. Go back to one.
Rookie mistake.
and Action.
you know, I stayed up all night waiting for you. All night. I cooked an entire feast for you.
I mean, what do you want me to say? I was with my friends.
Where were you?
I was with my
You
friends.
should have been home.
I know, but I just
What
they,
is more important, home or your friends?
but they needed me.
I needed you. What about me?
I'm gonna kill that girl.
I mean, it's my-
Hey, cut. That's all right. That was fun. Awesome, okay. Thank you very much, thank you very much. How'd that feel, Jake?
Very good job.
I was scared.
All right, going to one, you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good job.
Okay, thank you everybody for the work.
All right.
Do you want to hear from people? Yeah,
Don't worry, yeah.
if I could get, my 2 volunteers, if you're willing. I've got the lights back on, okay. I'd like to hear about, the experience, okay? Just if you could stand over here first, since you're closest. You come and maybe just come to the podium and tell us a little bit about what that felt like, if you had that experience before, if it was new.
It was liberating.
Have you been on camera before?
Yes.
All right, so was this very similar to that and the way it was handled?
Yeah, in a sense, a little more structured,
Okay,
but still the same feeling and sensation of doing entertainment and creating art.
structured. You said it was more structured.
Yeah. So I have produced my own shows. And I sort of taught myself how to do it just from watching a million and one movies.
Okay.
um, but then as I did it and I was making mistake after mistake after mistake, it kind of taught me, okay, Tila, you need to take a step back and really learn. Like I started out as a dancer, a backup dancer, and then I fell in love with being behind the camera. And I'm like, okay, I really want to do this. I really want to learn what goes into this. Like, I want to branch out and explore all realms of entertainment. And then, that's like I said, I started producing my shows, made a bunch of mistakes, didn't budget properly, budgeted horribly, spent more money than I had.
Oh, yeah, well.
But I got to really see the work that goes into putting a production in and the cost, and the importance of just being patient and learning things step by step so that it's done properly. And then not beating myself up about my mistakes either, because I learned from them.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Before I grab you on, I want to point out the 2 points you made out. She talked about structure and budget and learning from mistakes. And I think those are 3 important things that you will learn here. We teach you structure. I didn't have to walk through too many things with the crew. There was a way of doing things. You shout out, we'll go for a take, and everybody else takes over from there. There's a way of doing things that you will learn when you come to MPI that will make the whole process easier. One of my favorite classes in the production class was actually about budgeting. How do you go from a script to figuring out how much money you need to shooting that first shot? That is something you'll learn here in our production classes. And learning from mistakes. From day one, you have your hands on equipment here. We're going to have you in the first few weeks making films. You will learn from making the same mistakes and making films over and over again. And hopefully by the end of the year, the program, you'll be readier to make more mistakes, but you won't be making the common mistakes that beginners make. Can I get you to come up here? Tell me about your experience on the camera side. And what's your name? I'm sorry.
My name is John.
John, thanks for help, John. Tell us about that.
Well, I might not have as much to say because she has had more experience than I have, but I think this is a step. It's a good step. This is a good first step for me personally because I've never been on a film set before. I have never had that kind of filmmaking experience other than just watching on YouTube how things work instead, but actually having the feel and having the idea of getting in there and actually doing the work is very liberating and very really quite exciting actually. So
have you ever operated a camera before?
no, I have not.
No. So
No.
you had your hands on a multi-$1,000 red professional camera. How did that feel?
You know what? I felt a little nervous at first, but then once I got to know how to do it just like that, it was like, okay, this works.
You can do this.
So yeah, I can do this.
How about the structure, the methodology we just did, calling it, that was all new to you? Was something expected?
A little bit, but I have watched some behind the scenes, so I do know some things, but I don't know everything.
Okay. So, all right. So it was a good experience overall.
It was a good experience overall.
Anything stand out to you particularly that was like, whoa?
Not particularly. But I think there'll be more surprises if I were to get into the program, there will be more surprises coming through.
Indeed,
So.
there will be. Okay, thank you for sharing, John.
No
Appreciate
problem.
your help today.
Thank you.
Very much. Well, that's our demonstration. I think we'll give it back to Kevin to take it over from there. I guess we're moving on to other parts of the open house.
All right. Don't worry, John. We're all nervous operating the cameras here. And it's a good thing. Jeremy can attest. It's always good to be super careful with the equipment. The care for the equipment is a huge part of it. What we mentioned earlier, budgeting. We got a question on Facebook about that. Do you learn how to fund your films? And that is a big part of our production program, is how to get investors and how to, GoFundMe, or, there's lots of ways to get out there. A lot of them through festivals. But, the cool thing is when you're here, you're making, as Kurt was mentioning, you've got film projects. Everybody makes 2 short films, even if you don't want to be a director or a writer or anything. But this just, new call just came in. No. And what we want to do is get you used to all the different departments. So you're trying out all these different things. And then you know what necessarily you really want to do, but you also know what you may not want to do, but at least you know that department. So we're going to take a break, and I'm going to be, we're going to take a look at some videos while we take our audience and you to get set up in our editing lab. And Andy, who's one of our graduates, and he's a professional editor and filmmaker, he's going to be walking you through how to edit that footage that we just shot. So hope you enjoy these videos. They were pre-recorded, but it's one of them's with one of our founders, Doug Schultz, and it's a look behind the scenes about how MPI came about, but also about his background and Kurt's background as filmmakers. So we'll be with you in just a few minutes, okay? Thanks, everybody.
Oh, forgot the lens cap. There we go.
Hey, wait up!
I am working. Okay, guys, roll sound, please. Here we go. Pictures up.
Scene one, take 7, marker.
And action! I wasn't sure how to turn my creativity into a career until I started film school. My name is Sydney, and for 4 years in college, I really didn't know what to do until I found MPI. Now, I'm making my own movies, and I wouldn't trade the on-set experience for anything else in the world. MPI has been launching film careers for over 20 years. Are you ready to start yours?
Hi, everyone. I'm joined here by Doug Schultz today, and he is one of the co-founders of MPI, and we couldn't be more excited to have him here because he has a wealth of experience, not only as a filmmaker himself, but he also teaches, and he's paved the way for so many, students who are now out there in the industry as filmmakers, and they're doing fantastic work. Doug, can you tell us a little bit more about your own background and what classes you're teaching at MPI?
Yeah, sure. Hi, thanks. Thanks for having me. Well, I teach the film directing classes here at the Motion Picture Institute. We cover the aesthetic and technical aspects of film directing. Students prepare and make their short films in my classes. Over the course of the year, there are 4 directing classes and 3 film projects. Students will produce a non-dialogue short film to start with, to showcase telling stories with images, not words, because we're in a visual medium, so that's very important. Then as second semester rolls in, we bring in dialogue, and then you find students working with actors. We hold open auditions, and we begin to synergize with the acting community here in Michigan. And then as third and fourth semesters evolve, we find the students preparing their ambitious year-end thesis films. And these films actually get premiered at a movie theater at the year's end. And it's a real exciting sort of graduation ceremony / film festival. So my classes are really sort of the gateway for that filmmaking to happen. And, in addition, I want the students, directors to leave the school feeling that they've developed their own unique cinematic styles. So these directing classes help them find their cinematic voice.
That's a great point. Voice is important to find, to nurture. In order to be able to tell a story, you have to put that voice against visual imagery and be able to create an experience for people to feel as they're watching your work. And speaking of your work, Doug, can you tell us more about what you've done over the years? And there's one story I particularly really enjoy hearing, and it's about, your first film that you worked on, and you were a student back in the day, and that got picked up by HBO.
Yeah. Well, that was back in the day, right? Well, yeah, I've been an independent filmmaker for over 25 years. I direct independent films. I've done some music video work and even some commercial work, but I'm primarily considered a genre filmmaker. And my films are made outside of the studio system. The films I've made have sold to Lionsgate, Stars. They've aired on Netflix, Showtime, Redbox. I've had the pleasure over the years to work with some iconic Hollywood actors. David Carradine, the late David Carradine, Dee Wallace, Lance Hendrickson. Our first film, for instance, I think I was 23 at the time, when we made this film. But one of the fond memories I had was we were shooting inside a century-old asylum. And this place was back in Pontiac, Michigan, called the Clinton Valley Center. And I had the honor of working with an actor by the name of John Saxon. And I'll never forget, it was 4 a.m. We had wrapped, and we were sitting inside a padded cell. How metaphorical, right, of our crazy industry. And, I'll never forget John talking with me, telling stories of how he worked with Bruce Lee, on Enter the Dragon, and just sharing stories like that with iconic actors over time, was one of the rewards, I guess, of being in this business as an independent filmmaker.
That's a great story for us to hear. And I'm sure our viewers who are sitting at home watching this are curious to know, what makes MPI unique. You've already touched on some great points like that hands-on education, the storytelling ability, and that pipeline from your classes into, the film festival world. But is there anything else you'd like to add to that?
Well, yeah, I think what makes MPI unique is that it was designed by working industry filmmakers, not theorists. All of the MPI instructors that we have teaching at the school have impressive credentials as filmmakers. The screenwriting teacher has sold screenplays, for films that have been produced for Hallmark Channel and, whatnot. Our producing teacher, held an esteemed studio executive job at Sony Columbia Pictures. Every teacher here at MPI is a working industry professional, whether it's, Jeremy Schroeder, who was a lead crew member on Law and Order for over a decade. So all of our staff work in the business and they're connected to the biz. And that's where we make the difference, because as our students graduate, we can sort of serve and help them find their way into the industry and help employ them. So that's sort of where that channel of networking and employment opportunities comes in, because you're learning from working industry professionals that are connected in the industry. So if you ask me what's unique, I'd say it's a hands-on program designed, delivered by film industry professionals.
And that's a great point. At the end of the day, when you think about trying to make it in the real world and you're a student, there's no one better to learn from than people who are already out there working day in and out, and they understand the industry because they're a part of it. A lot of times when people are considering film school, or even if they're a current student and they're enrolled, they're already thinking about, what they want to do when they've mastered their technical skills. Is there any advice that you can give people who are out there in terms of how they can set themselves up for success?
We get asked that a lot. And, what's interesting is I think, what makes for a successful grad, those who work and succeed in our industry are kind of cut from a unique cloth. Once you enroll at MPI and you come here and you kind of know it, you sort of fall into this family. There's this communal feeling. Those that are going to succeed tend to see film in the film industry, and that's all they see. You know what I mean? They put community and commitment and opportunity first. they're not afraid to start out as a production assistant. You do have to pay some dues in the business. And there are no overnight successes in the business. It's hard work, but it's fun work and it's rewarding work. And, I couldn't find any other path in life for myself. I knew at a young age I wanted to be a filmmaker. And so I set out and I charted that course, and I learned what was an independent filmmaker. And that's the path that I chose. So if you're asking, what is and makes a successful MPI grad, I would say it's those same characteristics, understanding you have a passion and then following through with it. And honestly, there are a lot of DIYs out there today, do-it-yourselfers. But the concern and the caution, the note of caution I give to those is, sometimes four-year education may not be necessary, but some education and mentorship is really important. And so our unique one-year program, I think, is that perfect run length, for those that are interested in getting in the biz. Yeah.
You're right. And what a lot of our alum end up reflecting on when talking about their MPI experience is the fact that it is quick. It's only 1 year. You learn about all of the technology that's being used in the industry, and you've already, you've been tinkering it with it from the beginning. We have all these videos on our website where you can see all the way from day 3 up until the end. You are on set, and we are also now online. Doug, would you like to tell our audience a little bit about how we're also online now?
Yeah, sure. Well, yeah, MPI has a blended program, and in this day and age, we've always had the strength of intimate class sizes. There was no other way for us ever. We were never a school, and we've never been a school about doing mass numbers, thousands of students. We wouldn't know what to do with thousands of students. MPI class sizes are intimate and they're small. And it just so happens in this day and age with all this uncertainty that intimate class sizes are now the thing, and you put those intimate class sizes into our massive, well-ventilated sound stages, and you've got a great open classroom concept that's safe and perfect. You've got a film school in your backyard mentality. And then you add to that the fact that we have now brought our programming online, to make sort of a perfect blended curriculum. So some of the lecture classes can now be taken online, and then you come to the school for the hands-on element. And so it makes for an extremely safe and, a well-rounded education.
My name is Hunter LePan, and I'm a recent grad of the Motion Picture Institute in Troy, Michigan. I'm originally from Canada. I moved here for school. My thesis film is The Superstitions, and it's a film about common superstitions. So like 7 years bad luck when you break a mirror, or if a black cat crosses your path, you get bad luck. And when it came to my thesis, when it came to thesis season time, I was like, I have no idea what I'm going to do. So he's like, well, why don't you shrink your movie into this? I'm like, but then somebody's going to steal it. So I kind of was worried about it, but then I just went all out, and I'm like, you know what, I'll just lay it out. And I'm like, I can use this as a pitch. And the school is so great for that, because it gave me the opportunity to understand how pitches work and how the actual side of the business aspect of film and how that all works. So it was really cool getting to see everything come together, and then to know that I could do something with it in the future, aside from me just having it as a film.
He came to me about that film looking for a happy, lighter tone.
I didn't know how I was going to do a color grade. I just knew that we talked about it in editing 5, I believe. And I had no idea how to color grade. And my buddy Benson, who was my colorist for my film, but he made everything about that film come to life.
Claire wanted me to approach the look for the bad and good luck in a different way, and showing the difference between our world and then their world. So we got to really experiment with these different shades of purple. And we went for a deeper shade that was still felt lighthearted, but also felt a little like suspenseful and tense at the same time.
I came in knowing absolutely nothing. MPI prepared me for my thesis because you guys made me so over prepared that I intended to shoot 3 days, but I only did 2. But I learned so much stuff along the way and found out what I wanted to be in the future. And it really, that's what got me through my thesis, because I was so over prepared and I knew how every department was able to work that I manipulated it to be as convenient as possible. After graduating at MPI, I'm now working for HGTV. So that's pretty cool. Like, you're watching something as, like, I don't want to say growing up, but like you're watching something on TV and then you actually work for them. It's a huge thing.
Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm the guy that was yelling at you guys a lot. Hi. Oh, now I'm on. I am Andy Bishop. I am the man from the set that was screaming, and I did a cuss, and I'm very sorry about the cuss word. I was getting into the moment. But a little bit about me. I graduated 2013, so I'm old, but not that old, I guess. And in my year, I had a reputation. And my reputation was the guy who could get things. And the reason why I feel like this is important to tell you, I was able to get an ambulance and a boat, like an actual like tall ship to film on for my thesis film, is there's no limit to what you can do if you have all of the tools and all of the right things at your disposal, but more importantly, the drive. And if you really want to make films, you really want to hone your craft and take them from like YouTube quality and then just like blow them up, MPI is the place for you. If I didn't come to MPI, I wouldn't have worked on some really great projects. I've worked with Eminem on a shoot for BET. I've done some stuff for Netflix, Discovery, Ford, Chrysler, a lot of car stuff. And I'm working on an animated series right now with actual industry professionals and people that are that are voice actors that you would recognize if you heard. So, but the reason I'm telling you this is this school, if it wasn't for the school, none of that would have happened. I wouldn't have gotten the opportunities that I have today. So what I want to do is, my expertise is in editing. And so I'm going to take you guys through the editing track of, we're going to take the footage that we shot earlier and we're going to inject it into the editing program. So let me share the screen. Hey, the host disabled sharing. Jeremy, can you let him know that I need sharing privileges? Okay, he's got it. So I'm going to stall for a minute, but that's okay. The other cool thing about MPI is when I came to an open house, it wasn't at this facility, it was down the road, and it was a much smaller facility. And I was blown away at the smaller facility. And there has been so much growth in this school and so much development over the years. I mean, it's been around for quite a long time. And it's really got a great reputation working with people like Jeremy, who just happens to be standing to my right. Okay, was just great. And so I think you guys should, head over to the website and feel free to ask any questions. All right, so we are going to take a look. I'm going to be using Adobe Premiere Pro. Here at MPI, we do utilize DaVinci Resolve, and there's no wrong editing software to use. The thing is, they all do the same thing. It's where do you like the button placements? So it's what you really enjoy that matters. So we're going to take some footage that we shot here. Let's grab this shot here. And I've imported this footage into Premiere. And so I'm going to click and drag it into the timeline that I've created. And it should show up. There it is. Look at that. It's on the screen. We did it. Hashtag we're done. No, I'm kidding. So when you inject footage in, and when you shoot footage, you shoot audio and video separately. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back, we're going to actually we're going to import into the scene the audio. And if you look down here, there's a waveform. The waveform is blank up top. So just for giggles, I'm going to delete that blank audio. Oh wait, no, this isn't the right take. Yep. Is this it? Nope. Clip number 3. I'm just playing jazz, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so the important thing, sometimes cameras can record audio. Usually they don't arm the audio track. So you can, some editing programs do let you automatically analyze the waveform and then push the audio together. But what we're going to do is we're going to look for the slate. This beautiful thing right here is the reason why they use that is for editors like me. So we're going to go ahead and listen to the audio. It's pretty close. So we're going to go ahead and scooch that over a little bit. Too much. This is kind of like the paint drying part of filmmaking, but you know what? It's super important. Excuse me. Okay, so I want to just bump it just a little bit more because it's not quite on that clap. So 1 frame, that's good enough. Good enough for me. So let's take a watch of this clip here. First things first, no one can take a man seriously that wears a fanny pack. Okay, let's just be honest. It didn't work. The actor should have not made that decision. What a bad actor. He should be fired. So if you notice, the director, who is a very good director, because he's also standing to my right, left a gap for me. So what I'm going to do, and if I really wanted to, I could take it a little bit further and I could slide the audio down. And if she hasn't reacted, she hasn't looked away, which she did, which is fine. He said cut. I'm going to go right to that point. And then I'm just going to go and pull a little effect out. Maybe. There we go. I am editing 6K footage on a laptop. Normally I wouldn't do that, but I've got it down to a 1/16 quality so that I can actually play it back for you guys. A lot of times people render what's called a proxy. So if they shoot a 6K footage, they'll render it down to 1080p. So it's real small, easy to process with the same name. And then when they're all done with the project, they'll just replace all the footage with the 6K footage. A little trick for you. So let's go ahead and find a video transition here. Let's go ahead and put just a little dip to black here. All right, let's find the part where we start. All right, let's go here. Pull that there, and let's put one at the beginning. We'll ripple delete to pull the clip over. So there we go. We've added a fade in and a fade out to the beginning and end. We could throw anything like music on there. We could, if we had another angle of it, you know, a different angle maybe of me, we could be intercutting that. But before you can do all the crazy editing styles and techniques, before you can really develop the story, you need to understand the basics. It's very important to have everything synced up properly because nobody wants to watch a film that is out of sync. So, any questions from the group that's in front of me? You have a question. She's interested in animation. Okay. I don't have any examples of animation prepared, but that is something that they do have they do teach a little bit about that, just an intro. But it mainly focuses on the actual filmmaking aspect, the actual shooting and editing and things like that. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to throw it back over to Kevin. Thanks for watching. We'll be right back.